I had a bit of a moment this morning, a genuine existential breakfast moment.
Oh, yeah.
I was just sitting there with my coffee, watching an AI agent draft a project roadmap for me.
Uh-huh.
And at the same time, another one was optimizing my calendar,
Hmm.
declining meetings I didn't need to be in.
Sounds efficient. I mean, that's the dream, isn't it?
It is efficient. But then I had this distinct, slightly cold feeling. And I thought, if this software can do the planning and the organizing and the communicating, do I actually have a job anymore?
Yeah.
We talk constantly about AI replacing the doers, the toters, the writers. But we rarely ask the really scary question. Can AI replace the boss?
It's the question nobody wants to ask at the executive retreat. I mean, if the machine has all the data and it can process it instantly to find the most efficient path, shouldn't it be the one making the decisions?
Right. Why do we need a middleman? But today, we are going to dismantle that fear, or at least we're going to completely reframe it. We're diving deep into a fascinating report from McKinsey, published back in January 2026, called Building Leaders in the Age of AI. And spoiler alert, their thesis is not that robots are coming for the corner office.
It's actually the complete opposite. The argument here is that in a world flooded with AI, human leadership isn't just nice to have. It's becoming the premium asset. It is the scarce resource.
Which is a relief, but it's not exactly a free pass. The mission for this deep dive is to break down exactly how the job description is changing, because according to this report, the days of the know-it-all leader are officially dead.
Buried, yeah. If you're trying to outprocess the processor, you lose. And we need to talk about the shift from command to context and why those soft skills, which I know you have feelings about, are suddenly the hardest currency in business.
I do have feelings about that term. Soft skills always sound so fluffy or optional, but they're arguing these are survival skills. Let's start with this core shift McKinsey identifies, command to context, because command and control is the default setting for most companies, right? The general on the hill.
Right, and we have to understand why that model existed. It worked for a century because it was based on information scarcity. The leader, the CEO, they had access to information that the people on the ground just didn't have.
So they gave the orders.
They gave the orders. If you were a worker and you had a problem, you went up the chain, the leader gave you the answer, and you went back down.
The leader was the oracle.
Exactly. But now, information is infinite. It's everywhere. And you have AI agents working alongside people. The research on skill partnerships is really telling here. In a modern workflow, the C-suite leader is statistically guaranteed not to be the smartest entity in the room on a specific task.
Wow. That is a massive blow to the ego. You spend your whole career trying to be the expert, and now the report is saying, sorry, the bot knows more about the supply chain than you do.
It does. An AI can analyze a global supply chain bottleneck and propose 3 solutions in seconds. A human leader simply cannot process that volume of data. So if your value proposition is, I know the answer, you're obsolete.
So if I'm not the answer giver, what am I?
You are the context creator.
Context. Okay, that's one of those corporate buzzwords people nod at but don't always understand. Let's ground that. What does creating context actually look like on a Tuesday morning?
Think of it less like a military commander giving orders and more like an architect building a playground.
Okay.
The architect isn't the one sliding down the slide. They aren't pushing the swings, but they are deciding where the slide goes, how safe it needs to be. They're deciding the rules of who gets to play.
So you're setting the guardrails.
Precisely. In an AI world, guardrails are everything. It's about defining values and decision rights. For example, an AI can generate 10,000 variations of a marketing campaign in an hour.
Which is great, but chaotic.
Totally chaotic. Who defines what quality means? Who defines what on-brand feels like?
The AI generates the options, but the human defines the criteria for success.
And the safety, that's the trust component. When algorithms are shifting business conditions at light speed, your team needs a human anchor. They need to know that if they experiment and the AI hallucinates or something goes wrong, there is a human leader who set the parameters and has their back.
So the AI provides the map, but the leader picks the destination and, crucially, keeps everyone calm in the back seat.
That's a great way to put it. And that leads us perfectly into the 3 specific areas where this article argues humans are absolutely irreplaceable.
Okay.
Because there are things ChatGPT, even 5 versions from now, simply cannot do.
Let's get into these. I need to know what my comparative advantage is. The first one they mentioned is setting aspiration.
This is the why. And it's a fundamental hardware limitation of silicon. AI cannot dream.
It can hallucinate, though. We've seen that.
True, but it can't care. An AI cannot set an ambitious goal because it has no desires. A robot doesn't wake up wanting to revolutionize healthcare or grow market share. It just processes the next token. It doesn't want more or better.
So aspirations, that desire for growth, that's uniquely biological.
It is. But McKinsey takes it a step further. It's not just having the goal. It's the skill of reading the room to get everyone else on board.
Oh, I see where this is going. We've all been in that Zoom call where a boss announces a strategic pivot, and you can physically feel the energy leave the call.
Exactly. And an AI, it
Yeah.
can't feel that drop in barometric pressure.
Right.
It can draft the announcement email perfectly. It can outline the logical reasons for the pivot. But only an empathetic human leader can anticipate the emotional reaction.
If we do this, the engineering team is going to feel betrayed part.
Yes, because they just spent 6 months on the old project. The leader's job is enrollment. You have to map the right people to the right projects, not just based on their coding skills, which an AI can match,
Right.
but based on their personality, their burnout level, their emotional drive. You have to get them to believe. AI can inform you, but it can't persuade you to care.
That distinction is huge. Okay, what's the second area?
The second area is demonstrating judgment, or as I like to call it, the buck stops here.
This is about accountability, isn't it?
It is. Look, AI is the ultimate consultant. It's an incredible advisor. It can summarize rules, outline risks, and give you probabilities. Like, there is an 87% chance the strategy fails,
I am.
but it is not authoritative.
Meaning if it goes wrong, you can't blame the chatbot.
You can't fire an algorithm. It bears no consequence. Leaders in the physical world have skin in the game. They answer to boards, to employees, to the public. And where this gets really interesting is what the article calls the hard call.
The hard call. Give me an example.
This is when values conflict. Let's say the data is crystal clear. If you shut down this factory, you save $10 million. An AI, optimized for efficiency, says, do it.
It's just a math problem to the AI.
Exactly. But a human leader has to step in and look at the other variable. Our company value is people first. If we do this, we destroy the trust of our entire workforce for a decade. The hard call is saying, no, we are going to take the financial hit to preserve the culture.
That's the judgment piece. It's making the decision when the variables aren't all numbers.
And McKinsey's research backs this up. They found that a leader's decisiveness and judgment, specifically in these gray areas, are key predictors of a company's long-term value. People follow leaders who are willing to make the tough call and own the result.
Okay, so we've got aspiration and judgment. The third one is my favorite because it sounds the most sci-fi. Designing for nonlinear outcomes.
This deals with the nature of creativity. And to understand this, you have to understand what an AI actually is.
They describe it as an inference engine.
Right. An LLM, at its core, is a prediction machine. It is designed to predict the next most probable word or pattern based on everything it has seen before. It's optimized for the mean. It gives you the incremental change.
It gives you the logical next step.
Yes. If you ask an AI to improve a car, it will design a better car. It won't invent the airplane.
Because the airplane is a nonlinear leap, it breaks the pattern.
Exactly. Humans are looking for the 10x, the discontinuous leap. The article argues that leaders need to write the audacious brief. You have to ask for something that seems impossible, something the data doesn't support yet.
And this is the hard part. You have to hold the line when it looks like failure.
That's the key. Innovation is inefficient, it's messy. Early versions of a breakthrough idea often look like garbage. An AI might flag them as low probability of success and just discard them. A human leader has to have the intuition to say, no, wait, there's a spark here, keep going.
It's seeing the diamond in the rough. So if we accept that these are the new requirements, aspiration, judgment, creative leaps, we run into a practical problem. How do we find people who can do this? Because ability to dream nonlinearly isn't usually on a LinkedIn profile.
It is definitely not. And that brings us to the talent challenge. The article talks about breaking through the paper ceiling.
The paper ceiling, that refers to degrees, credentials.
Exactly. For 50 years, we used the MBA, or the Ivy League degree, as a proxy for competence. We assumed, they have the credentials, so they must be smart. But those credentials don't predict whether someone has resilience or empathy or the ability to collaborate with an AI.
They call these the intrinsics.
Yes. Traits like eagerness to learn from mistakes, adaptability, curiosity, these are the real indicators of success now. And because you can't see resilience on a diploma, companies are completely overhauling how they hire.
They mentioned moving from interviews to auditions. I found this fascinating.
It's a massive shift. Instead of sitting across a desk asking, so tell me about a time you overcame a challenge, which is just a rehearsed performance.
Where everyone says, I'm a perfectionist, right?
Exactly. Instead of that, best-in-class companies are running live scenarios. They put the candidate in a simulation.
Like a pilot in a flight simulator.
Yes. They give candidates incomplete information because that's what real leadership is, making decisions without all the data and see how they handle it. They might simulate a crisis. They might put them in what McKinsey calls rapid stretch roll moves.
Just to see how they react.
To see the behavior. Do they freeze? Do they ask for help? Do they prioritize people or process? You need to test for value-based judgment in real time. You can't fake that in an audition.
That makes so much sense. If the job is changing, the interview has to change. But let's say I'm already in the seat. I'm running a company, a team. How do I build these new types of leaders? The article lays out 4 imperatives.
These are the how-to steps.
The first one seems obvious, but I bet it's rarely done. Know what you're looking for.
It sounds so simple, but most companies are incredibly vague. They say, we want strong leaders. What does that even mean? McKinsey says you need to be explicit. If your industry is facing constant economic shocks, you shouldn't just look for intelligence. You need to specifically target resilience and optimism.
Right. Don't just shop for groceries. Shop for protein if you want to build muscle. You have to name the attribute.
You have to name it to find it.
The second imperative is about culture. Create a step change in learning culture. The phrase that jumped out at me was, learn a little, test a little, learn a lot.
This is borrowing from the software world. Agile development, but applying it to people. It's about making feedback the oxygen of the company, not a weapon.
Pre-mortems, after-action reviews.
Right. In medicine or aviation, when something fails, you dissect it to learn, not just to blame. But the anecdote that really stuck out to me here was about Brad Smith, the former CEO of Intuit.
Oh, the skip-level meetings. I loved this.
It's such a powerful tactic. He wouldn't just talk to his VPs. He would skip the middle management layers entirely and go straight to the front lines.
To customer service, junior devs.
Yeah. And he'd ask 3 very specific questions.
What's getting better? What's going wrong? And the third one, which is the killer. What are you afraid no one is telling me?
What are you afraid no one is telling me? Think about the psychology of that question.
It immediately disarms the sanitized version of the truth.
Exactly. Information usually gets polished as it moves up the chain of command. By the time it hits the CEO, it's a PowerPoint slide with all the red flags removed.
Yeah.
In an AI world where things move instantly, you cannot afford sanitized truth. You need the raw data. That question cuts the filter.
I'm going to steal that question. The third imperative is invest in trust and servant leadership. This feels like the inner work part.
It is. And honestly, this is often the hardest part for hard-charging Type A leaders. The article argues you need to treat the development of wisdom and empathy as seriously as you treat a new IT system rollout.
It's not just a seminar you do once a year.
No. And there was that beautiful story about Satya Nadella from Microsoft. Considering how they've navigated the AI boom, his leadership is really under the microscope.
It is.
He talks about his father, a civil servant in India, who taught him that success isn't about what you achieve personally, it's about the transition.
The quote was something like, if the next CEO is more successful than me,
then maybe I've done my job right. That is the definition of servant leadership. It's committing to the mission, not the ego.
that is a massive mindset shift, especially when we are conditioned to think of the CEO as the star. This is moving from I am the star to I am the sage manager.
Exactly. And in an age where AI can do all the ego-driven tasks, the look how smart I am, look how much data I memorized, tasks leaders have to pivot to look how well I've set you up for success.
Right.
If you're hoarding information to feel important, the AI has already beaten you.
But to be that kind of leader, the one who holds space, who creates context, who mentors, you need energy. Which brings us to the fourth imperative, protect time and energy.
This one hit home for me. They called leadership an endurance sport.
It is. You cannot sprint a marathon.
Yeah.
And yet, look at our calendars.
Back to back, double booked, eating lunch on a call. The highest performing leaders describe in this research optimize for inflection points. They know not every email matters, but some moments matter infinitely.
There was that example of a global tech CEO who keeps 20% of his calendar completely empty.
Completely empty. No meetings, no calls, no catch-ups.
I can't even imagine that. My calendar looks like a game of Tetris that I'm losing badly.
And that's the trap. If you are back-to-back, you are reacting. You're in response mode. You aren't leading. You're just batting away balls.
Right.
That CEO keeps that 20% open so he can catch his breath and, more importantly, respond to the unknown unknowns.
The surprises.
When a crisis hits on a Thursday afternoon or a sudden opportunity arises, he has the bandwidth to handle it without shattering his entire week. He has the mental capacity to think clearly because he isn't exhausted.
If you're at 100% capacity, you have 0% adaptability.
Precisely. And in the age of AI, adaptability is the whole game. If you are too busy to think, you will be replaced by a machine that thinks faster than you.
That is a sobering thought. So let's zoom out. What does this all mean for us? We've covered a lot here. We've gone from the fear of being replaced to the realization that we're actually being promoted to a harder job.
It is a harder job. It requires more emotional maturity, but it's a more human job.
To recap, AI is the inference engine. It predicts the pattern. It manages the what and the how.
But we are the aspiration engine. We set the goal. We determine the why.
That's the core distinction. AI transforms how we work, makes it faster, more efficient. But only humans can determine why we work. Why does this company exist? What are we trying to achieve? No algorithm can answer that for you.
And no algorithm can care about the answer. Leadership is an act of connection, judgment, and belief. Those are biological, messy, wonderful human things.
It's funny, we started this deep dive asking if AI can be a boss. And the answer seems to be, it can be a manager, it can manage tasks, manage schedules, but it can't be a leader.
No, because leadership is about people, and people need empathy, not just efficiency.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought, something to chew on while you're looking at your own calendar today.
Let's hear it.
The article implies this, but I want to make it explicit. If your daily work is filled with tasks that an AI could theoretically do, if you're just processing info, scheduling, checking boxes, then you aren't leading yet, you're just administering.
That's a tough mirror to look into.
The ultimate competitive advantage isn't your proprietary algorithm. It's your ability to be authentic, adaptive, and accountable. So here's the question. Are you protecting that empty 20% of your calendar to figure out what that actually means for you? Or are you just trying to outprocess the processor?
If you're trying to beat the machine at being a machine, you will lose. If you try to be more human, you win.
And on that note, thanks for diving deep with us. Go clear some space on your calendar.
See you next time.